Too noisy?
There's a little bit of bleed over, but I mean, it's not horrible.
Okay.
If it gets bad, I'll say something.
Yeah, let me know because I can always go. I can go to another room. Yeah.
Or if they're, or like you say, if they're getting ready to go shopping, then when they leave, it'll be.
You know what I could do? I mean, I could go downstairs if you want. I mean, is it too noisy? That's what I'm saying. You can tell me now.
It's probably the easiest thing is just wherever you're comfortable and everything, just do it there and just use push to talk, and that way they're not triggering your mouth.
Gotcha. You know what? I'm going to move my Surface downstairs so it's a little easier. So I'll be right back. All right.
All right.
I'm going to make a wild guess that he's maybe from the Boston area.
New York.
New York.
I mean, I'm like 10 minutes from the city, so like by train. Okay, hold on a second. Yeah, you got my accent. All right.
Isn't that right, Greg?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to go downstairs.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Just tell me how my connection is with the house. Those are my dogs. I got 2 left. Hold on. I'm going to go down and finish me. So I just all my stuff.
All right. Well, I have midday,
guys,
so...
Is it okay like this?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, the sound quality, I think, is a little bit better even.
Can you hear me now good?
Yep, we can hear
you.
Yeah.
Real good now.
Yeah, I mean, I got to finish basement. So you know what it is? I got a router downstairs, so I can keep my singles really strong. I'm going to close the door to have total good audio. Usually when I listen to my music and stuff, I'll go down here because it's kind of like pretty much soundproof. Okay.
All right. Well, welcome everyone to session 5 of the History of D&D. Today we have Elsie, Roy, and we're joined by Tony. Tony, welcome to the game.
Thanks.
Do a little bit of recap from last session. The guys have been out investigating the source of some bandit attacks. They went with Zert, who is a tracker that lives just outside of town and lets the village council know when things are going on. And with Elmernon, who goes by Elmo, he is a member of the village council. They accompanied the PCs out to scout the moat house, which is where they suspected the bandits were operating. And in fact, they found a group of bandits on patrol, captured them. They then also managed to capture the bandit leader and 2 of his bodyguards, and hauled all of them back to the village. And then the village elder, who also doubles as the sheriff, called up the town militia, who went out with the characters once again, and they rounded up the rest of the bandits and brought them in. So this has been the end of a very productive day in game time, where they've pretty much got all the bandits. They also found a couple of people that were with the caravan that were actually operating with the bandits and had been apparently tipping them off as to which caravans were going to be particularly good targets to hit. But this is just sort of the beginning of their exploration of the moat house, because they really haven't been inside except into the main area. They haven't explored any of the rooms, so they don't know what's there. And there's a possibility, from what the village elder and the village council has said, that if the bandits are successfully dealt with, the village might like to have a presence of allies at that moat house, using it as a base of operations. So there could be an opportunity for the party to basically claim that as a place. Now, of course, it's going to need some. It's a real handyman special. Once you see the full map, you'll realize that walls have to be repaired, the moat has to be cleaned up, the land around it has to be cleared a little bit, roof has to be redone, all this kind of stuff. So there's some work that'll go into it, but it could be a ready-made base, if the party decides that's something that they want to do. But for right now, Elsie and Devlin, Siren and Devlin are back at the Inn of the Welcome Wench. So why don't I go ahead and move us over to the inn. We are at the inn. Oh, and of course, John, we're just going to put John over on the GM layer until we figure out what's going on with him. And then, Tony.
Yes.
Something that I need to do with you is I need to have you pick out, at least for the moment, a somebody that you might want to use as a
token,
token, and then as we go along, you can, if you find something that's particularly appealing, you can create a custom token, and then let me know, and I'll assign it to your character. But for right now, let's just see. Let's just see what do we. Okay. Oh. Okay. Oh, that's. Now we went with a hammer for your guy, right?
Yes, yeah.
Ooh. Okay. Let me. You can see the map of the inn, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I am going to throw a token out onto the middle of the floor there. Oh, whoops. But it would help if I put it on the. It would help if I actually put it on the right layer so that you can see it.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah. And I'll go ahead and I'll enlarge that a little bit so you can see it a little better.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's fine.
For right now, that guy's okay?
Yeah, he's cool.
All right. Well, then let's go ahead.
He speaks softly and carries a big stick, looks like.
Yeah.
It's true, yeah.
Okay, and then okay, there we go. Save the changes. All right. So now when you open your character sheet, you should see that guy as your character image, and he will be your token. Now, the last thing I need to double check is and see if... No, you won't be able to use it yet. Oh, come on. Where are you? Oh, interesting. And then, all right, go ahead and see if you can drag that token around the
Gotcha.
map.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yes.
All right. So, Devlin, you and Siren are at the Inn of the Welcome Wench, and you are having a couple of pints along with Elmo and Zert. And actually, I am going to, if you'll forgive me just a moment, Tony, I'm going to move your character back over towards the door.
Okay.
And I'm also going to get this character that the other PCs have met before. This is Tuck. Tuck is one of the senior clerics at the temple. And so Tony, he has invited you to come with him to the Inn of the Welcome Wench, because he's going to see some of his friends that have been out dealing with the bandits, and there are a couple of other adventurers that are in town, and he thinks it might be good for you to meet them. So he is just going to wander over here to the table, and he says, "Oh, Elmo, Zert, Devlin, Siren, glad to see you all in one piece. I understand you had some success today with the bandits."
Yes, indeed. We captured them all from their stronghold, even. Although it seems like it might not be the end of our troubles, but it's a victory for now.
Well, yes, if it gets them further away from the road, then they can't launch attacks so easily against the caravans. And I'm afraid I'm about to sneeze, so I'm trying to get ready for the sneeze button. All right. No, that passed. So he says there's a young acolyte who's been at the temple recently, and he was doing some tasks for us yesterday, but I thought I would bring him by this evening and introduce him to our new adventuring companions. He seems pretty handy with his hammer, and looks like he has some skills, and so he waves to your character, Tony, and so you can move your character on over towards the table.
Trying to find... Where is the PC? I think you moved. I can't see him where you moved him. You want to...
Oh, okay. He's over by the door. Let me do this. I can focus the... Oh, whoops. That's not the one. I can focus the map.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'm going to move them towards where they're sitting.
Yeah.
Is that okay right there?
Yeah, actually, yeah, they're over, depending on the view that you have. Yeah, they're over here. Let me recenter on that view. They're over here.
Oh, okay. I'm going to move them over. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm bringing my guy over. Hold on, let me just move the board over.
Yeah.
Frodo, I'm coming over.
Devlin's nervous. Somebody's trying to move in on his Gertie over.
I'm coming in. Yes, here I am. I quietly walk over. And is he introducing me then, right now, or?
He just says, Frodo, introduce yourself to these gentlemen. So go ahead and tell them a little bit what they would notice about your character when they meet you, or what you would want other PCs to know when you meet them.
Basically, when I come over, I'm a rather young character, so I would say my age is around 17 to 18. And pretty much I'm very quiet. There's no markings on me or anything like that. And I gently do express, I reach out to Devlin. I offer my hand and says, I am a man of faith who's studying the ways of the cleric. And I'm being very forthright, and I'm going to tell them the reason why I felt like I wanted to choose this path is because my family was chased out of the town they lived in, off the outskirts of the Dell. I don't know if I pronounced it right. And by a horde of goblins, which raided the town. And my fear in life really was I saw my villagers get killed and taken away and pillaged. And the reason why, one of my driving forces is to try to seek revenge, or so much as not seek revenge, but to try to heal people and actually try to power over evil. Because the way the lands, and I've been hearing of raids, which this man introduced me to you guys, and I feel that power is starting to rise again, and it may overtake good, which is one of my fears. Because then, if evil triumphs over good, where does that leave anybody? No, it's just a world that I really would not want to live in, or we wouldn't, and that's really all I really say at that point.
So, like, now this is all OOC. My character doesn't know that yet, but like, what do I see when I look at what's his name?
Frodo. My looks are
Frodo. Yeah, I should be able to remember that name.
Yeah, yeah. He's about 5'8", 5'9", if you want to know my characteristics. Black hair, brown eyes. Weigh about medium weight, say 160, 170. But rather youthful. And I would say somewhat, you could say, naive, just for the fact that, he hasn't really seen much. If you want like a quick impression, is that helping any?
Sure. Okay. Say I look at him, like, what is he wearing? How does he wear his armor, his weapons?
Well, you can see on my side a warhammer, and I would say, am I in my full armor right now? Yeah, or am I off of it? Because I have an AC, I think, of 3. I mean, because right now I would say I'm wearing regular clothes. Right now, as you're seeing me, I'm not in armor. I'm in regular, plain clothes, say almost like a cloak, or a kind of very laid back, casual type attire.
Right. It's
holy symbol prominent, or no?
No. My holy symbol, in fact, my holy symbol, you could probably see it's on a small pouch inside of my pocket. So maybe a little piece of the silver might be shining out that you can see it.
Oh, Devlin definitely sees that.
Okay. Am I helping any? Is that good?
I just had to put myself in the framework of my character, and the first thing I would see is this person that looks like this coming over, how his posture is, what he's wearing, what's blatantly obvious as far as his armor and things like that.
Yeah. And I reach out, to introduce myself. It's like I'm trying to reassure you that, I'm very laid back type of character.
Okay. With Devlin, he's sitting down now, but you can tell he stands probably about 5'10". He wears some pretty elevating boots because he likes to appear tall. He's got a top hat, very flamboyant outward personality. He's got long dark hair. He's got a goatee. He's got a black, kind of like a black leather trench coat that he always keeps the collar turned up on. Just a very, he tries to come off as a very prominent figure no matter where he goes. His mouth is his best weapon. Is the way he looks at it.
Oh, okay. Okay. So we kind of got it. Yeah, kind of pretty good impression. Yeah, that's pretty. So we're like the polar opposites, I would say.
Yeah.
But I'm not intimidated. But I feel I'd rather safe. Like I know he can protect me. This guy, I kind of like that.
You ain't seen him come against bad guys. Ah!
Yeah. You know what? I can stand behind him. You know what? I tell Devlin that. I says, I'm a peaceful person, but if I would like to choose to adventure if I can be of any assistance. And I'm speaking to you, Devlin, because I get the impression that you're kind of the leader. And I say, if you take me into your group, if I could be of service, I says, I feel very safe in your hands. You give me the impression, the perception that you're rather can back up what your mouth says. I say that, and I mean that in all good respect, I say. That's a compliment.
Okay. Looks like we have another person here. OOC, by the way. And then also, where is LC? Is that which? I don't see you on the map there.
I'm right here. Like I'm at the table.
He's it.
This is my old.
He's right here. Yeah.
You're covered up a little bit there with Frodo. Did you want to tell Frodo what you look like?
Sure. How long have we been in town now?
Last night is when you guys talked to the village council and found out about the bandits. And since you rode out to deal with the bandits in the morning, this is the evening of that same day. It's like a couple-hour trip back and forth, so you made 2 trips, and by the time you came back with with all of the militia and the rest of the bandits in tow, it was getting to be about sunset.
I'm just curious if I would have had time to get changed and rest up before coming down to the bar. Would I just go straight?
Probably you would have gone to your rooms, and so this is maybe like 8 in the evening. So I mean, maybe like 2 or 3 hours after you got back. We'll just presume you guys had cleaned up a little bit, and then we're meeting with Zert and Elmo to sort of celebrate your success in the day, and they would be talking to you a little bit about what your next plans are. And they would have invited Tuck to come, and Tuck invited Frodo along.
All right, then I'm just probably dressed in some simple, just normal clothing, nothing too fancy. Don't have any weapons visible on me right now, and I'm a pretty youthful elf, with young as elves tend to go, even though they live so long. With long raven black hair that goes past my shoulders. I'm just kind of sitting there reclining, enjoying the atmosphere, sipping some wine. Nothing too fancy, really. I guess I'd be pretty unassuming for the most part.
On a side note, as far as weapons go, Devlin makes it a point to always have his crossbow at his side, or he uses it like, I don't know if you, like in the olden days where gentlemen had a cane, the high and mighty, the people that like to project an image.
The upper crust, like?
Yeah. But he kind of uses his crossbow in the same way. He likes to make a show of it, even though he probably doesn't use it very often, but he's got it there.
Just in case.
I'm a deadly man. Don't cross me. Oh, just kidding. Don't hurt. So, you say, Frodo, my name is Devlin. It's nice to meet you. I imagine you can handle yourself in a...
Not so much. I say to you, basically, I don't have much experience in fighting. I'm just kind of learning my way around. I guess, I've never really actually adventured with a group. So I've always been pertained to the village. So I'm kind of looking more, trying to gain insight on the ways of the cleric, how to study. I want to learn how to basically heal people. That's what I'm try to heal the sick, and help those who can't really help themselves. And I reach my hand out to the elf because I kind of look a little startled because I've really never seen an elf. I've heard of them. He says so, and I kind of gesture out like an hello to.
Hello to you as well. It's a bit odd that you've never seen him, or did you say that out loud? I don't think I caught.
Yeah, it's Siren, it's kind of an interesting time to be an elf. The empire is the Sylvan Empire because it was founded by elves, and the elves were the primary drivers behind the expansion of the empire. They have a history that predates the history of the first known appearance of the dwarves and the halflings and the humans. But the elves, as being the longest lived race, they also probably have the longest generation cycle. So their numbers grow more slowly than the populations of the shorter lived races. And the humans are, just as soon as they started to appear, in elf terms, it seems like they just were exploding like rabbits in terms of, well, there's 2 humans, and now you turn around, there's 16 humans, and now you turn around and there's 400 humans, and it just exponentially grows more and more and more. And so even though the cultural memory of the empire is still elven, and Frodo, you may not have seen a living elf, but you certainly have seen statues and paintings and things from the history of the empire that have some of the old elven heroes from the days of yore that are around, and you've heard stories about them. But pretty much most of the people around are humans. There's a few halflings running around. There's a few dwarves running around. And there are a few elves running around. But, for the most part, the people you see are human. And so it's kind of strange for Siren to be a member of the founding race of the empire, if you will, and yet find himself being decidedly in the minority of the population. So during your discussion, Gert comes over and she says, "Oh, it's the big heroes back from the day dealing with the bandits." And she turns to Devlin and says, "You bring me anything, love?"
Oh, sweetheart, I always have something for you. It's so good to see you again.
Well, it's good to see you. And Master Tuck, Master Zert, Master Elmo. And I see you've brought the young Frodo from the temple. Hello there. And Gert is, typical serving wench. She seems to give quite a bit of attention to Devlin, and so they've seemed to have a very familiar vibe between them, like they've known each other for a while. And so she offers to bring food and drink on the menu tonight. They have a beef roast that has some herbs and pepper and some garlic that it's made with. They also have a chicken, roasted chicken that they're doing, and then they have a stew that is made with some fish. So kind of a fish stew that they have. So she wants to know what everybody would like for their dinner.
I'll take the stew if it is no trouble. And I appreciate it. And I thank her.
None at all. None at all. And
I'll try the beef. That sounds very appetizing. The fish stew just kind of turns my stomach in an awkward way. But I have something a little reward for you for next time that I'm gone to keep me in your heart. And he hands her 10 silver and 5 copper pieces, just for your troubles and thank you for thinking of me.
oh, well, thank you, love. And she tucks those away, and then she turns to Siren. And what will you have, Master Siren?
Another wine would be much appreciated.
Okay, you're not going to be dining tonight? Just having a liquid diet?
Not tonight.
Okay. All right. So she says, that's fine. And Elmo and Zert and Tuck put in their orders. And after seeing that you all are sort of, there's more of you now than there were before, she suggests that you all might want to move into the private dining room. And Tuck thinks that's a good idea, so he leads the way and heads over into the dining room over here. And so does Elmo. Goes over, and then Zert heads in. Takes up a space over here. Oops. All right. And then in a few minutes, Gertie comes in and brings everyone's food and brings the drinks all around, whatever ales or beer or wine or water that everybody wants. And then she is off to leave you to your conversation. And Elmo says, well, you boys did very well today. I'm not sure that we would have been so successful without you helping us to bolster our numbers and then figure out. Devlin, you had some good ideas with your subterfuge today in drawing out the bandit leader. And Siren, you're very handy with that bow of yours. So very glad that you were with us today to help us. And what are your thoughts now that you've seen the moat house? Place looks pretty much a wreck, but if we don't have anybody do anything with it, I'm afraid it's just going to get infested all over again. If the village elder is in fact going to entertain the notion of turning over the deed to someone who has helped out the town, then I can't think of anyone that's done much more of a service for the village in quite some time than you all have. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that we definitely want to set up shop there, maybe clean it up a little bit, and maybe find a way to turn a bit of a profit with it. It would be a good place to have to store things, supplies and stuff if our services are still needed in the area. On a side note with that, I guess at some point we probably need to sell some of our supplies as well. And I imagine I'm only acquainted with one shop in town. Is there another one that may offer a little bit of competition for the fellow that we met earlier, or is there somebody else that you would recommend?
And he says, well, we are kind of a small village. You can get almost anything you want here in the village, but it's a little too small to have too much competition. So right now, if you're looking for general goods, then the traders is just about the only place to go. Of course, we do have the blacksmith, which deals in arms and weapons and armor, and we have the tailor and the miller and the vintner and the brewer. So you can go find a specialist if there's something that you want to deal with. But for general goods, the trader is going to be the one to deal with. What types of things were you looking at unloading?
Mostly weapons and armor, and so those would probably work. I see it as more of a conglomerate store with the small shops as his competition. A little less trouble to go to just one, but still doable.
Yes, the tanner is in town, and he could help you. He could offer you his opinion on the value of the leather armor. The smith could assess the value of the weapons and the metal armor, and and unless there was any of that you all wanted to keep for yourselves, between those several different shops, you should be able to find a way of selling whatever it is that you need to sell.
Very good. I appreciate that. And so if we, what process do we have to go through to gain a deed to this, the moat house, as it were?
Well, I think the final decision on that will require the approval of the full council. I know that Zert and myself, and I'm sure we can count on Tuck to throw his voice of support. And Tuck nods and says, "Oh yes." Says with the bandits gone, that should mean that the caravans are more frequent now and more plentiful, and they won't be quite so shy about coming through the town anymore. We should be able to get a little bit more variety in our supplies that come through. And Elmo says, once we have the blessing of the village elder and he calls for a vote of the entire council, I believe that we should be able to prevail on them to hand over the deed. Right now, it's not costing the village anything except the worry of what monsters and bandits may come out of there. If they know that it's been secured and cleaned up, and that we have allies based there, that will be that will go a long way, I believe. And
so more money to be made by all, it sounds like. And he kind of looks over at Siren and gives him a nod. So maybe a little bit of competition in town for the more economy flowing into the town, as it were. So yeah, that sounds like quite the adventure. Profitable by everybody.
yes, I certainly think there is an opportunity there. And Zert says, well, the bandits have been the chief concern there at the moat house, but I want to let you know that just getting rid of the bandits is by no means finishing the job. And while Elmo and Tuck can count on my support whenever the council votes on it, I believe if you wanted a full support from every member of the council, they would like to see the entire moat house cleaned out from stem to stern, as it were. So perhaps going back and making sure that no other nasty creatures have taken up residence there or are hiding in the shadows or lurking somewhere. I believe there's supposed to be a basement to that place as well. So perhaps there's some underground level that needs to be cleared out.
We certainly wouldn't want to live there and have other denizens happen up inside our house. That's for sure. So I'm sure that you see the value, obviously, in us setting up shop there and offering our services to the town, and I'm equally aware that you would be, the town and town council be willing to put forth some effort into helping us clean up the place and make it more of a symbol of civilization pushing outward from the town, and to shy away banditry in the area. So I mean, if there were volunteers or people, or maybe the town council would vote to give us a stipend to recruit people to help us clean up the place, something of that sort.
And Elmo and Zert exchange a look, and after a moment, Elmo nods as if he's been considering something, and he says, I have had a thought on this that previously did not meet with approval of the other members of the town council, but I believe your presence now may change their minds. I think that perhaps if we offer a day's wage to any of the guards from the militia who want to accompany you to go out and see that the rest of the moat house is cleared, that might now get approval. In the past, I believe they were worried that the guards would either get overwhelmed by the bandits, or in extreme cases might be lured to turn away from their honorable duties and join with the miscreants. But now that we have some allies that are leading the efforts, I think they may be more amenable to sending militiamen along with you. I will have to ask tomorrow, and I'll see what the village elder says. In the meantime, that should give you an opportunity to go visit the various merchants and see about getting your goods sold, and getting any supplies that you think you might need for your next venture out to the moat house.
So, what do you say, Frodo, my friend? Do you care to be a part owner of a new establishment outside of town here, and sort of a base, and maybe we could divvy it up and have part of it with shops and a trading post, and maybe even a chapel inside, if that's something that you would consider.
Yes, I'd be very much interested. I open my pockets. As right now, I'm strapped for nothing, but if I can earn my keep, I'd be more than happy to take this on with you guys. You gentlemen, I mean, sorry about that. How far is the moat house from this area?
I
think it's maybe about a half a day's ride.
It's about, if you guys went carefully the first time, and it took you between 2 and 3 hours to get there. Since now you know where you're going and you're not worried about meeting bandit patrols, if you have horses, you could probably ride there in an hour. If you're on foot, it'd probably take a couple hours to get there.
All right.
So it's not terribly far outside of town.
I accept. I say thank you very much. Yes.
Do we know anyone in town that could help us renovate the old? It seems to be falling at the seams and.
Well, as it happens, there's a couple of people that you can talk to. There are some retired adventurers. And when I say retired, I mean they actually have turned down requests by the village council to take on any further adventures. But they actually have built a tower in the town, and they are in the middle of constructing a small keep within the borders of the village itself. And they have hired a whole team of stonemasons and builders to work on their property. That's going to take several months to get completed, but as soon as that job is done, if you have gotten the moat house to a place where work is ready to start, you kind of have a big ready-made work right there that could just migrate over to the moat house and set to work on that.
Can I ask Devlin a question? How big is the moat house that the bandits were living in? Was it rather large? Like level-wise? Did you...
It's about one big entrance area guarded by like arrow slits around it, kind of maybe sunken down, a big door that goes into a back section, and it looks like about maybe 3 or 4 rooms in the back section, and evidently there's also stairs down from there, so it's pretty respectable size.
Was there any symbols inside that you might have noticed?
I didn't really notice, but of course the place had been trashed quite a bit, and 2 or 3 walls have been knocked down as well, so quite a bit of work to be done. But I mean, you might take a look around and see. You probably know more about that stuff than
I was just curious. Yeah.
Well, you recall, Devlin, that you didn't see any symbols inside, but the bandits, of course, all were wearing cloaks with a certain symbol on them.
Symbol of Bargle, I believe.
Yes. The symbol of Bargle. Which, if we do that, I think I can show that to the players. Yes. Okay. So that's what that looks like. All of the bandits had that on their cloak. and nobody was able to make heads or tails of it. Frodo, let me take a look at your character sheet here and double check what we decided for you. Okay. You've got to go ahead and make me, I'll call this an intelligence check. You've been around.
Great.
Okay. How do I roll the dice again? I hit the dice thing, right? Roll a d20.
If you go into your character sheet and you open up the main tab.
Yep.
And you click the little, in the check column, you click the little dice to the right of intelligence. That'll roll an intelligence check for you.
Let's see. So I see. Intelligence hit the, yep.
17. Okay. All right. Yeah, you have not seen that before. You have no idea.
Oh, so I rolled an 18. I see. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
So they described it. I said, so I kind of look puzzled, like, no. I'm looking at it and I look at the party. I says, I don't really understand what this means. It's definitely something, but.
Oh, he does understand it, although that's a pretty good roll. Normally, that's a pretty bad roll in this edition, right?
Wow.
In this edition, In this edition, you're trying to roll under the target number.
Okay.
And in later editions, the higher you roll, the better, usually. This edition, there are some things that you want to roll high for and some things that you want to roll low for, which is part of the interesting part about playing this edition. So they, Zert and Elmo basically repeat for Frodo what they told the guys before, is that the bandits and some of the monstrous humanoids that they have seen out in the wild wearing that symbol all claim that they follow someone called Bargle. And Bargle is a former resident of the village, who's he's a magic user. There was a tragedy with his family. After that tragedy, he started doing some dark research, and eventually there were some incidents that led the town to basically exile him and send him away from the village. And nobody had heard from him in a number of years. And now, over the last couple of years, they've seen more of the monstrous humanoids around that have that little symbol on. And now the bandits have been operating, and they also have that same symbol. So apparently Bargle is somewhere in the area and has some influence over these forces of chaos that are out there.
So we know this, like I would know this too now, Bargle, like, so they're telling me, or?
Yes, they would basically fill you in on that. But
can I ask the party a question?
Sure.
Did any of you ever see this so-called Bargle, this magic man?
No, I came into town just a few days ago, but Elmo and Zert told me about him, that Bargle was a wizard here that lived a few years ago. I don't remember the time exactly. But one of his experiments got out and murdered a couple villagers. And after that, I guess he was ashamed or something, or he was mad people were angry with him, and he eventually left and went out into the wilderness.
Is he an old or young? Old? Does anybody know, like, how long he's been studying?
The the history of Bargle with the village goes back about 15 years. That's when he first showed up with a young wife. And then about 5 years later, after he and his wife had one child, he was away and there was a fire at the house. So about 10 years ago, there was a fire at the house, and the villagers tried to intervene, but they could not. And so the wife and the child died in that fire. And he came back and he stayed in town for maybe another 2 or 3 years. And during that time, he was beginning to do research into life after death. And, might have started with him trying to figure out if there was any way of bringing his wife and child back. But eventually it got to the point where he was doing things like contacting demons and summoning creatures from other planes. And as Siren said, one of those got out and killed several people in the town. And when they confronted Bargle about it, he had no intentions of stopping his research, but he assured the town that he understood what had gone wrong and he would take measures to make sure that that didn't happen again. And they were like, no, we can't have you doing that kind of research here and taking those kind of chances in town. So eventually they made it clear that he wasn't welcome in town anymore, and he left. And that was probably 5 to 7 years ago, and then nobody heard from him for a few years. And so let's say that if he was maybe in his late 20s or 30 when he first showed up, he'd probably be in his mid 40s or close to 50 now. So middle-aged man, as in terms of human years. But like I said, nobody's really seen him since he left the town 7 or 8 years ago.
Wasn't there a case of they like completely dismantled and burned and everything else the house that he used to live in to get rid of any evidence of him ever?
Yes, they did burn the house, and in fact, the area where I need to open that PDF. The area where come on. The area where Rufus and Burne are building their that's the two retired adventurers. The area where they are building their keep encompasses part of that is over the ground where Bargle's house once stood. So it hadn't been used for anything until these guys came in, and they had enough money that they basically bought up a number of lots that either weren't being used or where people were willing to move and relocate. They bought a number of things where they could construct their tower and construct their keep. And if I kind of briefly move us over to the exterior of the village, and I would recommend that everybody go to using that little magnifying glass, go to 50% magnification, or maybe even a little bit smaller, 40 or 30. Let's see. Then you can see. Whoops! I'm going to get rid of this, and I'll go to a 30% over here. You can see over in the it's going to be over towards the over towards the extreme eastern side of the village. I'll ping it on your maps over here. This is where their tower is, and then the little dotted outlines are where they are building their little keep. So they've got
little. That's pretty big.
Yeah, that looks pretty large. Yeah, the map looks pretty cool. Yeah.
Devlin just sees it as competition.
Yeah.
It is something
We got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, so all of the people who are there to work on the structure, they have a camp. They have two different camps. One camp is over to the east of where the stonemasons' house is up here, and then another one is just to the south of where all the building works is going on, kind of down over here. So there. So when you are going about in the next day or two, going about doing your selling of all of your loot, you can then also perhaps go over and talk to some of the workers, or talk to even Rufus and or Burne themselves, and see, perhaps what they might want to, what they think their schedule is going to be, when those guys will be available to help out with any work that you may want them to do on your moat house, should you successfully clear it out. So, is there any other questions for this evening that you have for the NPCs?
Devlin would just be inquiring as if what shops may be open this time, or better to maybe wait till tomorrow morning before we do our supply run.
Probably wait until tomorrow morning, because maybe by the time you all started your dinner, there might have been some of the shops open, but by the time you're wrapping up, most of them are going to be closed for the night. And then in terms of the places to go within the town, they would perhaps recommend, if you didn't want to deal only with a trader, that you could go to the blacksmith for the weapons and the metal armor. Go to the I think there's a leather worker. Yeah, leather worker, which is actually right across from the inn, and they could help you with the leather armor. and then the other knickknacks and stuff you could perhaps deal with a trader or find some other specialty shops. And then if you're looking to purchase a wagon or horses, you could talk to the teamster.
But we'll probably need to sell this stuff to decide how much money we have to put toward that.
Yeah.
So any plans that anybody has before we retire for the evening, or it's been great meeting everybody here tonight.
I'm starting to get a little tired, but I thank them for letting me join them, the adventurers. And I says, I guess we all stay at the same inn. Is there a local inn? I asked where you could recommend the place to stay. I mean, is there that you guys can recommend?
This is an inn right here. They got rooms upstairs here.
Gertie's
the best barmaid in town. So it's quite accommodating here, I think.
I take him up on that offer. I'm gonna give her my services, give her my business.
Okay, the rooms here are I think you can get, it's 1 silver for a bed in a room that has 2 beds. If you want to have a room all by yourself, it's a gold. There's 5 silver for a bed in a room with 2 beds, and then in a solo room, it's a gold piece, so twice as much for that. And then there's also the area that they have called the dormitory room, where it's a bunch of different cots all laid out, and a bunch of people spend the night there, and that's a silver for a cot in that room.
I would like to take the 1 gold piece for the room.
Okay. All right.
I'm going to subtract that, so I got 19.
Okay. So she will give you a key to. Let's just see which room.
And I thank her for the warm meal from earlier.
Oh, she's glad you like it. She will give your compliments to the chef. They'll give you a key to room 7.
Thank you.
Upstairs. And now if we go back to and of course, Tony, you don't have this because, actually you can probably see it from the session notes channel in Discord. But from the session last week, I think I totaled up basically what the price would be if they sell that stuff, because I really didn't want to go through taking a whole lot of time haggling a whole bunch of things. So what I did is I used the standard half book value is what you would get if you sold this back to merchants. And it doesn't matter. You can go and get the best price, and the best price you're going to find essentially in town is half of the purchase price to sell this stuff back. So I have a little table in there that you guys may have seen if you looked at the notes. And I didn't fill out the totals because I didn't know how many of these you were going to sell and how many you guys were going to split with each other. So let's just go through that now, and then I will give you a total of the gold that you receive from selling the rest of it. So there's 16 sets of leather armor. Do any of you want a set of leather armor, or are you going to sell all 16?
I want to sell it all.
So so I guess the totals are quite different now, because I had kept track of what we found up until you gave us those totals.
Right.
And so and I actually merged everything together, but I know you posted a total later. So like I have 5 sets of leather armor.
Yeah, that was 5 sets. That was 5 sets prior to last session.
Yeah.
And this includes everything from last session.
No, I have session 4 because I merged whatever was in my general list on there, and then the things that weren't was like the nice looking dagger, because that's a unique, and then a pouch with 10 gold pieces, and then a spell book with three mage.
Right. Yeah, I didn't give you last time. I didn't go through an exhaustive inventory of what all of the bandits had. But in my notes, I was counting up what all of the bandits that you captured have. And basically, as far as the village council is concerned, those guys are all going into the stocks, and so they're just going to strip them of their possessions. And since you all led the capture, you basically get the spoils of that. So the town council is a little harsh in terms of just saying, okay, you guys were bandits. None of this stuff belongs to you anymore. You probably stole it from somebody else anyway. And here, we're going to give it to these adventurers, and they're going to sell it.
Well, so as far as that stuff goes, are we just going to do an OOC, sell all of it for what we can get, unless it's something that somebody wants, right?
Yeah. Right.
And then as far as whatever's left, I mean, we still have like leather armor. I could just add it to the total, and then we don't have to deal with.
Okay, no, don't worry about your counts. We'll just use my count. So don't worry about what you have on there. We'll just refigure that after we get through this list. So there's a total of 16 sets of leather armor. Does anybody want one or not?
I'm looking to see what I got here. Let's see. I see armor class, armor shield. I'm not seeing my armor anywhere. Okay, there it is, leather armor. I already got leather armor, so I don't want it.
Okay. And I don't think leather's going to be an upgrade for either of the others, so I presume they don't want it. So we'll just go and presume that's all getting sold. Chainmail.
Well, you want me to erase that off of the general party inventory?
Yeah, for now, and then we'll just calculate, or you can just have it all struck out or whatever. For now. Okay, so there's 4 sets of chainmail. As a thief, Devlin, you're not allowed to have anything that's heavier than leather armor. So even though chainmail would be better armor class, the game rules wouldn't allow you to have it.
So just if you want to add it in, I actually have, in our party inventory, we had 1 set as well. So if you might want to add that.
No, this includes what you had. My totals include what you already had. So chainmail, there's 4 sets of that. Does anybody want to Would chainmail be an upgrade for anybody?
Nope.
Okay. So we'll do that. Oops, that's not right. Okay. Then there are 9 shields. Does anybody want a shield?
Nope.
I don't know what can I use.
I don't believe thieves are allowed to use shields. Let me just double check that before I tell you that it's absolutely not available.
On a side note, I can give one of the capes with Bargle's symbol to our new friend there because we both have one.
Oh, okay.
So I'm in my room. Okay, so should I come back down? I thought I was in my room. I was trying to keep it quiet. I'll come down.
Oh no, it's this is all stuff that's happening the next day. We're just doing it all OOC. So
when you give me the cloak, I guess, or the cape, I appreciate it, but I look at it as like if I don't know what the symbol stands for, I'm afraid I can't accept it.
Well, maybe just take a pair of shears and cut the symbol out of the cloak and throw it in your backpack in case it might be useful to see if it matches something or,
Okay, that I can do. So I'm going to cut off the symbol.
Yeah, and the other thing I think they had in mind is that if they ever run into other groups of people that follow this Bargle, if they throw those capes on, then it makes them look like they might be allies and they could kind of have a better chance of sneaking in and doing something. So it's not necessarily something that you would wear all the time, unless you just wanted to.
Okay, you know what? I'll wrap it up in a ball and I'll put it in my backpack. I won't even cut this thing out. Yes.
Okay. That sounds great. Yeah. Devlin, from the rules for a thief, you can use leather armor and a shield is not permitted. So, unfortunately.
So, yeah, I don't want one of those nasty.
Okay. All right. Then we have 9 crossbows. Would anybody... Now, you already have a crossbow, Devlin. Let me see.
Mine is a light crossbow. I don't know if...
yeah, these are all light crossbows. There's no heavy crossbows that these guys have. Let me just see. I don't think a cleric is not going to be able to use a crossbow because it's a piercing weapon.
Yeah, anything you could say anything with an edge, right? I can't use. Yep.
Yeah.
Bludgeoning. Yeah.
Right. So, Siren, do you have a bow or a crossbow currently?
I have a crossbow, but I'm planning on trading it out for the longbow. Okay.
Well, then you wouldn't want one of these, so we'll go ahead and we will throw it in the 2-cell pile. So that is...
Now, did we not give you I think we gave you a longbow like the last session or maybe the one before or
yeah, there was one longbow. We'll get to that eventually. So if Siren wants a longbow, there's one that is part of the loot that you guys got. So he won't even have to pay for one if he wants to use that.
These are all light crossbows, right?
Yes. So,
good to know.
Yeah. So there's a club. Anybody interested in a yield club?
I take the club. I'll put it in my, because that's bludgeoning.
Okay. All right. So we'll give that to Frodo.
I'll put that in my inventory.
And you put it in your inventory. There are 3 spears. Anybody interested in any spears?
See, I don't know what weapons I can use, but that is a missile weapon. But I think. Well, do spears have reach?
Spears do not have reach, but they do have the thrown property. They, for the most part, what they like with thieves is they like to have. Let me just double check and see what the actual. Okay, any missile weapon, any one-handed melee weapon. So you could use a spear because a spear can be used one-handed, or it can be used two-handed, or it can be thrown. So you have the ability to use it, yes. It's kind of long.
Yeah, I guess maybe I'll pass. I mean, does it do awesome, incredible damage or anything?
No, I don't think so. I'm gonna open up the equipment table just to be sure. Here, a spear does 1d6 damage, which is exactly the same.
Thrown and melee, huh?
Thrown and melee, yeah. This edition, they didn't really do a whole lot of difference between, when you use a weapon thrown or when you use a weapon melee.
So yeah, I think I'll forego any spears.
Okay. All right. Then we have 3 hand axes. Anybody want a hand axe?
Nope.
Now that you can throw too, I believe.
Let me double check. Yes, a hand axe can be thrown. It has a range of 10, 20, 30. And it deals 1d6 damage.
Nope, I don't think there are any takers.
Okay. Then there's a mace. And Tony already has one.
Yeah, I got it. Yep.
Or no, Tony has the hammer.
Oh, I have the warhammer. That's right.
Yeah, there is one mace, and
I'm pretty good. I'm going to keep my 2. I mean, you guys can take it.
Anybody else want a mace?
Nope.
Now this is from a D&D experience, so I don't know if it would apply, but I know in a D&D at least it was advantageous to have a blunt weapon as well as a piercing weapon as well as a slashing weapon for different situations. Now I have a longsword and a blackjack, although the blackjack is more of just a knock somebody out weapon, but that would fill the role of a blunt weapon.
Yeah, it sure would. And it's a one-handed, so it would work for a thief. So if you want it,
So
we
yeah,
give it to Devlin.
I guess I would take it.
Okay.
I mean, does that give any advantage? Does it make a difference in this version of D&D?
There are some creatures in this version that do have either resistance or immunity, or they take less damage. They didn't really have the terms resistance or immunity, but it just says they take no damage or they take less damage from certain types of weapons. So if you have something that does bludgeoning, something that does piercing, and something that does slashing, then like you say, you're covered for any eventuality. Unless
it says silver weapons.
Right. You require silver magic. Yeah.
So I want a silver plus 3 mace of the destruction of undead.
Yeah. You get that, you're fine.
So what
Okay.
is the damage dice for?
1d6. And we have long swords. We have 7 long swords. Anybody want one of those? I think both Siren and Devlin already have swords.
I have my great sword.
Oh, okay. Would you want a long sword? This could be used as a one-handed weapon.
Not right now. No.
Okay. All right. Then we have 6 javelins. And these are hurled weapons only. And again, they're kind of long poles that stick around, and you got to throw them at your enemy. Anybody interested in those?
Nope.
They sound cool, but yeah.
Okay. We have 2 pole arms. So these, now you asked about reach. These are 10 feet long, so they will let you hit something that's a square away, but they are literally a weapon on the end of a 10-foot pole. So you've got to lug that around. Anybody interested in those?
Probably not. That cramps my style, you know.
Okay.
Clashes with his jacket.
There is a staff, a quarterstaff. So one of those. Anybody interested in taking the staff?
Now, cleric type characters, they didn't have in this version. They didn't have any weapon limitations, right? Or how does yours?
In this particular edition, the cleric is allowed to use no edged or pointed weapons, but all other weapons are permitted. And then they could wear any armor and have a shield if they wanted one.
So if Frodo, I don't know, he might be a good, at least a backup weapon, if nothing else for him.
Oh, can I use that? Would that have a point to it or no? I was just curious.
No, a staff is just like a pole with blunt ends, and you basically, whack guys with the stick.
Would that give me a little bit better reach than the Warhammer?
Not necessarily better reach, but it's a wooden bludgeoning weapon as opposed to a metal bludgeoning weapon. And they're not that hitting things with wood sometimes is better than hitting them with metal, but there are strange creatures out there that some of them will dissolve metal, but they won't dissolve wood.
Okay, I'll take it.
Others would dissolve wood, but they won't dissolve metal. So if you have a quarterstaff, so we'll go ahead and give that to you. And let me give you the data on.
I'm guessing 1d6 damage, right? Probably.
I believe it does. I just want to make sure I have that correct.
I'm not writing the damage. Yep. And the club is the same. I kind of figured it is, so I'm not going to write that. Should I write the damage or not?
Yeah, you should. The club is actually a 1d4. But
1d4. Gotcha.
Yeah, but
the other one is a
staff is a 1d6. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks. Okay. You can always, and even with the staff, if it's really, how long is it?
It's about a 6 foot long staff.
That's pretty cool. If you ever need a door open or kept open, ajar, you can just throw the staff across too.
Yeah. This Mordenkainen always said that the most important thing for adventurers to have is a 10-foot pole. And then everybody said, "Oh, that's too bulky to carry around." And he said, "Okay, fine. Fall in the traps. See if I can."
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
Wasn't it him that came up with the folding 10-foot pole?
I'm in a 10-foot. I'm in a 10-foot pit, and now I need that staff.
Yep, exactly.
And we got no rope. Oh shit!
Okay, we have 12 daggers. Does anybody need a dagger?
I don't know. I see. What about offhanded use? Is that
At this level, you don't have multiple attacks, so it really wouldn't do you much good to have an extra weapon in your offhand.
but backstabbing is a thing, right? But I can backstab with a longsword, right?
Yeah. Backstab is more of a
I think
mechanical.
I'll take a dagger just for. If he's a rogue, he's got to have a dagger. That's all there's.
Okay. So a dagger will give you 1d4 damage. And a dagger also can be thrown as well as used in melee. So you can grab the point of the dagger and flick it at somebody and use it from across the room. If you're far enough away, you don't want to run at them, but close enough, you don't really want to pull out the crossbow. You can use a dagger instead.
All right. Oh, what's the range on it if you throw it?
10 for short range, 20 for normal range, and 30 for long range. And the way that works in this edition, since we haven't really done a whole lot with short range combat weapons, is if you're at the long range, you have a -1 on your attack roll. If you're at normal range, everything is fine. And then I think a couple of times in the fight at the moat house, Siren did get a +1 because he was close enough within the short range to use that +1 on his attack roll with the because he was within the short range for the crossbow, because that's got like a 60-foot short range. All right, let's go. So
No, there was a couple nice looking daggers too. That's going to be a different category?
that's going to be a different category. I don't have them listed in with this, so 16 GP5. And then we have a longbow, and I believe Siren wanted that.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Okay. And then last but not least, we have 7 short swords. So, anybody want a short sword?
I'm good.
Okay. All right, so then let me get a grand total here. We have 1, 2, 1. So that's going to be and then X will be 160.
So this is weird. I've edited the treasure list, but there is no save button that I can find on it now. I don't want to just
I think
close
it's down
it.
at the
Or is
bottom. And let me double check something. Let me make sure I don't think I have that open anywhere. No. I don't have that handout open, so.
Yeah, the save button's not there unless it automatically saves it as I do it, but I don't think.
Okay. Yeah, I see it looks like it's been updated. So yeah, it looks like it's been updated. So when you open that handout up, do you see at the top, do you see an edit button?
Yeah, I clicked that, and I was editing it as it was going along.
Right,
Then it
and
didn't give me the
then
save button.
it doesn't, down at the bottom of that screen, it doesn't have a blue button that says Save Changes?
No.
Huh.
I don't know if somebody else has maybe got it open and it's not letting us.
Okay.
But I did a clipboard copy
Okay.
of what I had. I just need to be able to paste it in there. But I'll give it a try real quick.
Okay.
Okay, now I see the save button. Yeah, well,
Okay.
it wasn't showing up.
Okay. Good. Good. Because it should. Okay.
It's updated now. So I see we still have looks like 2 nice looking daggers, a pouch with 10 gold pieces, a spell book with 3 spells. We have a bolt case with 48 bolts. We have quiver 20 arrows. I'm assuming why don't we give those arrows along with the bow? That way he has something to shoot.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Hold on just a second. Did we sell the capes with Bargle symbol other than the one I took off for?
If you go around town, nobody wants to buy those. So you're not going to be able to get anybody to buy those.
Maybe sew them together and make a tent or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. So either you could just leave that on the treasure sheet as miscellaneous party treasure, basically in storage somewhere, so you're not having to deal with lugging it around all the time. And then just make sure you have one for yourself and one for Siren and one for.
Okay. So
Frodo.
the only things I have left that we didn't cover is padded leather jerkin, or a leather jerkin and padded armor, 2 different things.
Okay. The leather jerkin, you're going to get another 5 gold for that, unless somebody wants to.
It's as good as plate mail, right? But it weighs as much as a cotton shirt.
No. It's nothing so fancy. It's like the top half of leather armor, so it's not quite as good as full leather.
All right.
And then the padded, you'll get another 4 gold for that. And then the daggers, they look nice. You probably want to have somebody look at those before you decide to sell them. There's a couple of options. There's a you could probably take them over to Brother Tuck over at the temple. He might be able to look at them and see if there's any magical auras or anything on them or not. And you could take them maybe to where the construction is going on and try to find Burne, who stylizes himself Burne the Magnificent. And he is a retired magic user, adventurer. He may be able to identify what those are for you.
So yeah, it sounds like we got all that stuff sold off. We can make off to there to have him evaluate the
Okay.
daggers.
So the total value that you get for selling all this stuff, this is not split in any way. The total sale price is 525 gold and 5 silver. So then I guess I will leave it up to you guys how you want to split that.
I imagine split it in half between Devlin and I.
Okay.
Well, since Frodo is dedicating himself and new to our party, and he says he's completely broke, what if we give him the 25, and then each of you and I split 250? But that would be a starter for him, so he's not going about him.
Sure, I'm fine with that.
Thank you very much.
So add 25 gold and 5 silver to your money.
Okay.
Tony.
How many silver?
5 silver.
Okay.
In this edition, everything goes by tens, so except for Electrum. So it's 10 coppers to a silver, 10 silvers to a gold, 10 golds to a platinum, and then Electrum is 2 Electrum pieces to a gold piece, or 5 silvers to 1 Electrum piece.
I knew there was a reason I never bothered with Electrum.
Yeah, it's the oddball currency.
You know what's pretty cool? I just put the gold in, and it tallies it as 44.5 total GPs.
Oh,
Close to the silver pieces, yeah.
Okay, cool.
So as far as Siren and myself, as far as the silver pieces, is it 5 apiece for those as well? Or what was?
No, you guys were gonna give him basically the change, and each of you were gonna get the 250 gold pieces to add.
All right, that's fine.
Yeah.
So 250 is how much?
Yeah, 250 gold pieces. You can add that to your money, whatever you had before.
225 from the bounty.
Then yes, from the bounty. Yeah, that was in the session notes. Each of you get, if you didn't add it already, Devlin, you get 225 gold as your share of the bounty.
All right.
And then there was also some actual monetary treasure. And Devlin, the way I broke it out, I think I have the pouch with 10 gold as part of that. There's a total monetary treasure that you had of 37 gold, 188 silver, and 231 copper.
All right, you lost me. I got the money for turning in the bandits.
Yep, so that's 225.
I got that. Now what else?
Then there was actual monetary treasure from before, which is 37 gold, 188 silver, and 231 copper, and that's before dividing it. Now, obviously, you can't divide the copper, the 1 copper, but how do you guys want to disposition that?
I don't know, just divided by 2 and
Okay, so the 231, that would be 115 copper to each of you. And then the 188, that would be 94 silver to each of you. And then the 37 gold would be 18 gold to each of you and 5 more silver to each of you.
Sorry, how much copper was it?
Let's see, 231 divided.
It's 115.
100, yeah, 115 each.
and you said another 5 silver or something?
Yes, another 5 silver for dividing that last gold.
All right, I guess
Okay.
I might take advantage of the exchange rate here.
Yeah. If you want to economize that, you can. If you're not, so that you can convert some of your copper to silver, some of your silver to gold if you want to, so you're not carrying around so many coins. We'll just presume that you go to. Well, I'm not going to presume. Would you prefer to go to Brother Tuck at the temple, or would you prefer to go to go over and see Burne the wizard at the tower where they're building to try to get those items identified?
Well, I think we're relatively safe here in town. If somebody wanted to go have it identified at the same time somebody was talking to Tuck,
Does somebody want?
two birds with one stone, or
Does somebody want to come with me with Tuck? I figure he's more of a clerical type person, or Father Tuck.
so you said the wizard would be the one identifying the daggers.
Actually, either one of them could do it. Either one of them could do it.
Okay, so yeah, maybe we just talk to Tuck then.
Okay.
And we had the daggers to identify, and then maybe hiring some town guards.
Yeah. That you'll have to circle back to the village elder to talk to him, but yeah, we can go ahead and do that. Before we do that, however, let's go ahead and take a little break. I have 1:47 my time, so let's go ahead and come back at the top of the hour. Take a few minutes to just grab something to drink or take a bio break or whatever.
Okie dokie.
And we will be back at the top of the hour.
All right.
All right. See you guys in a few.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Everybody get all refreshed.
Yep.
I'm good. My cheeks
All
are
right.
cracked.
Good. All right. So, couple of people, or perhaps all of you, are going to head over to the temple, and talk to Tuck. And actually, do I have on here? No, I didn't put it on here because I wasn't sure whether we'd ever go there. I didn't load up the maps for the temple, the interior of the temple. So we'll just use the exterior of town, and I will focus this on the church.
Either
Over
of
here.
them are.
All right. So you head over, and Tuck greets you. He says, "Oh, hello, gentlemen. How can I help you today?"
I'm, of course, walking along behind our new astute clergy lead the way, being we're going to.
Okay. So, Tony, are you back?
I think that might be a no.
Might be a no. Okay.
Also, he's not in roll 20 either.
Oh, okay. Hope his connection didn't go south on him. He still looks like he's... Ah, there he is. Tony, are you back? Hey, Tony.
Yep, I'm back.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. All right. So they were heading off to the church and to see Brother Tuck. And Brother Tuck greets you when you get in there, and he says, "Gentlemen, how can I help you today?"
I'm guessing does Devlin have the... Is it the daggers we're showing him?
If I do, I am just basically holding them there for you to talk to this member of the clergy.
Oh, thank you.
Definitely not my domain.
Oh, I didn't realize I had them.
I feel happy to be allowed to walk in the church, matter of fact.
I hand him the daggers and I asked him if he would be... If you do us this much big favor of if he can identify these daggers and tell us what he knows of them or can appraise them for us.
Oh.
We'll gladly pay him for his services to his church. I have some coins. I'd like to make a token gesture for his help.
And he says, "Oh, Frodo, you've done so much around here the last few weeks. Your equity that you have given is the donation you have given is in the sweat of your brow, and the work that you've done to help us. Hey, it's no problem to have a look at these daggers and check them." And he takes them over towards the altar, and he sets them down, and he closes his eyes in meditation, and he takes his palms and he holds his palms out over the daggers, and he mumbles, a few words, and he, you can kind of, his eyes are closed, but you can kind of see he's squinting a little bit, and then after a moment, he lifts his hands away, and he opens his eyes, and he picks them up, and he inspects them, and he says, "Well, I can tell why you came to ask my opinion, because these are exceptionally well made. In fact, I would say they probably were made with the intention that somebody was going to enchant them, but there currently is no enchantment on them. In my opinion, what you all have here is you have 2 masterwork daggers. They are very finely crafted and would be able to hold an enchantment should you find someone to do such. But right now, they're just very nice weapons."
Can I ask him a question? Would you know if they were made by human hands by looking at this craftsmanship?
And he looks at each of them, and he says, "Well, this one here," and he holds up one, and we'll say that this one has a brown leather wrapped hilt. He says, "This one, you see how the blade is broad and has, a couple of these features here," and he points out some of the things about it. He says, "This probably was made by a human smith, a very skilled human smith," and he sets that down. He says, "And this one," he holds it up, and you can tell that the blade is a little bit more slender, and it looks a little bit more delicate, and the hilt on this one is black leather, and it has kind of a little design in the leather of the hilt that is either stamped in or carved into the leather." He says, "This one here, unless I miss my guess, was probably made by an elven craftsman, because it's got sort of the delicate but very strong steel that is favored by elven smiths. If I would venture to say that the elven one is probably a little older. The human one may have been made in the last 10 or 20 years, but this elven one may be as much as 100 years or more old."
Wow. 100 years old. And that's the elven one.
Yes. Wow. But they're both very fine weapons.
I thank him. I hand the weapons, the daggers, back to Delvin. I guess he's holding them.
Okay.
And I asked him another question. And I said,
"Sure."
Trying to think. Have you ever seen any craftsmanship like this, other than these 2, that was done maybe in that type of way that you can reflect on, that you might have seen? Or are these rare? Are just one of a kinds?
Well, every weapon, every smith has his own signature style that he puts on his weapon. I can't say that I've ever seen anything that came out of the same forge as these 2, but masterwork weapons, especially if you get to the larger cities and into the capital, they're not that uncommon. They are made for a variety of purposes. Of course, adventurers would like to get masterwork weapons so they can have them enchanted. but you would have nobles that might want a masterwork weapon just because it looks fancy. You might have a person who is a career hunter or tracker and wants a masterwork weapon because it will withstand heavy use better than others. So,
And when you
that's
say
what you-
enchanted, would that be a high person of magical knowledge? Like, is that something is that something only few can do?
Oh yes, it requires many years of study, and it requires if you have a wizard or a magic user that will uh, enchant a weapon for you, why that requires them to have been at their craft for many, many years before they have the ability to imbue a weapon with magic and make it permanent. I have known there are stories in the faith of some priests who have had very, very high favor of their god, and their god has granted them the ability to imbue a weapon with magical capabilities, but those are usually more in the weapons that are designed for the specific service of the church or of the faith. Sometimes if there's a holy crusade against the undead, or if there's a particular blight upon the land that the god greatly disfavors and wants his followers to stamp out, then he will grant a high priest an ability to imbue such a weapon. But it's much more rare among the clergy than it is among the wizards.
May I ask you one more question?
Certainly.
Has there ever been anybody who lived in this village or area that might have had the knowledge to enchant a weapon or be able to enhance it, if that's the correct word I'm trying to use?
Well, I don't know much about. I don't know much beyond the reputation of the two ex-adventurers who have moved into town and are building their palace. They don't come around the church very often. They have sent some donations, but between you and me, it feels a little bit like they have sent donations just because they feel like it's the right thing to do and not because they are particularly devout.
So they've never been to mass, then, is what it is, Father?
Correct. They do not attend the services here. So I don't know much about Burne and whether he has enough enough magical prowess to enchant a weapon. I do know that gets extremely expensive, and it can take quite a long time to be accomplished. And depending on the type of enchantment one would be seeking, there might even need to be some special components that one would have to get in order for the wizard to place the enchantment in the weapon.
I look at him and I'm scratching my chin. I says, "Is it possible that something could go wrong in this process? Can there be repercussions if it doesn't go right?"
Well, there's plenty of stories of wizard towers spontaneously exploding and of wizards going into their laboratory to conduct research and never being heard from again. So yes, wizards must be, or magic users must be extremely careful when they are doing high-level research, and some of them do cut corners, and sometimes it ends poorly for them. But I do not know any tales specifically of enchanting a weapon where it has gone wrong, but I suppose it could go wrong just like any of their other experiments could.
I thank him very much. If anybody wants to add anything, does anybody have a question they'd like to ask him?
Well, what general impression do you have of these two people at the Mage's Tower?
Rufus and Burne. Well, they're a couple of odd characters, that's for sure. They have a reputation of being very skilled adventurers, that's for sure. And it's my understanding that it was someone quite high in the provincial government that gave them the charter to be able to establish a stronghold in this area. And they decided to build their, in my discussions with the council, I understand that they decided to build their keep within the borders of Dedale because they wanted to be close to civilization. They wanted to be far away from a large city, but they wanted to be close to the conveniences that's offered by a town that's on the main trade route. So that's why they chose our little village here to build their stronghold. They also, their commission from the capital came with a very nice stipend, and it added a nice one-time sum to the city's coffers. So the village council was not going to very lightly turn that away. I believe that definitely helped their cause. But they do keep to themselves, and they tend to, well, they sometimes tend to look down their noses at certain people. I'm not sure what sort of reception you would get if you talked to them, but maybe they would appreciate someone that's fellow adventurers that are like them when they were first starting out.
Did somebody mention that they were retired adventurers?
Yes. It's my understanding. I wasn't at the council meeting when they presented their petition to the village council. I was away on church business, but it's my understanding that they had completed some service that gave them the funds to finance the building of their own keep. And once they had achieved that level of fame, they decided that maybe now they had enough that they didn't want to risk their lives fighting dragons and hunting whatever else is out in the wilderness.
Now, we OOC, we haven't met these two, right?
No, you have not yet.
I guess they're next on our list, or should we pay them a visit?
Yeah, I think that should be maybe our next order of business, but right before we go back to the check out the basement.
Okay.
Well, we had 2 stops to make. This was the first one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, the other, okay, yeah, I guess it's right. This and well, the 2 stops was this and then the mage, but I thought that we decided that that this guy could do both.
Yeah.
But we still should go meet these people. I don't know if they're friend or foe. They sound kind of mysterious.
I mean, and I guess this is in game. I asked Devlin. It says they don't really. Do they know you? Have you ever met them? So you've never met these people. Only just heard about them now. See now, how would we go about going over there on what what would even make them want to see us? They don't know us. That's why. I mean, we're going to talk outside with the priest. We leave the room, I guess. Like we're outside. I thank him. Is there a way that I'd hate to impose on the priest. I'm asking him in character, the guys, Devlin and the other guys. If we go over there, what should we go over as? Like, I mean, we can introduce ourselves, but we're total strangers. Like, what's going to even make them trust us? They sound mysterious, as the priest just told us. They don't go to church. They give money. It's like they're really no-shows. How do we introduce ourselves if we go over there?
Sometimes Devlin's pretty slick. And he says, sometimes you don't have to come up with that much of a plan or a story, and you let it unfold in the person you're talking to's eyes for you. You just come up with a general scheme, and then they'll ask questions, and you fill in the blanks, and you can ask questions, and then hopefully they fill in the blanks. Yeah. Maybe even a little bit more truthfully than you did. So we can go see how that would work out.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
All right.
But anyway, I guess my lead in would be we've recently acquired some land in the area, and here they have as well, and we would like to meet our neighbors and see if there's any services they might offer us or we might offer them, and just kind of do a little feeling out thing.
That's a good idea. Yeah, you can see we want to have work done, and they are building something.
Okay. All right. So you all want to head over there and talk to them?
Yeah.
Sure. Yep.
All right. Well, you head on over, and as you get closer to that side of town, I'll just gradually ping us gradually on the way over to where the folks are. Is over here. As you get over to this area, you can really start to hear all of the activity, the hammering and the sawing and the banging of the workmen going on. And you get a little closer over here, and you come in sight of the tower. And the tower, which is this area here, that is about 55 feet high, and it consists of a smaller tower rising inside of a larger tower. The larger tower sits up about 15 feet above the surrounding ground. It's kind of built up on a little hillock, and there's actually a curved stairway that leads up to the entrance of that larger tower. And then that tower itself is about 15 feet high to the 35-foot level above the surrounding ground. And then there's a little walkway around the smaller central tower, and that central tower rises another 20 feet to the 55-foot height. And as you look up to the top there, you see a couple of men that look like guards standing there with spears, and they're just kind of looking out around and sort of watching the workmen down below. And they take a notice of you, but they don't, really. They kind of see that you're there, but unless you address them, they don't. They're not watching you like hawks or anything like that. So they're just sort of up there on top of the tower. And let's see. So yeah, there's a little ramp right about here where this little build out is going to be. There's a little ramp where the workmen go up to do any work on the upper plateau of this level here. So you can go up there if you want to. And then here's the base of the stairs to get up to the base of the tower. So
All right. As we're walking along, where exactly are the guards at the first?
The guards you see are at the top of the central tower here.
Oh, so there's none out in the surrounding area. They're all inside the.
Yeah, all the ones that you can see. The only people you see out around are actually workmen who are, either cutting stone or they're sawing lumber and hammering things together. They're going to be part of, scaffolding that they're doing or whatever for their building project as they're working on that.
I guess we just continue to make our way up.
Okay. So you head on up there, and let me see. Oops, that's the wrong document. This is... Okay. As you start to step up, you notice the two guards from the roof disappear from the roof, and then a few moments later, you see them appear at the head of the stairs there at the base of the tower, and they say, "Hail, well met." One of them has a little bit more fancy uniform than the other one, and the one with the fancy uniform is doing the talking. Says, "My name is Jarin. I am the captain of the guard for the keep here. How can I help you?"
Well, hail, friend. We don't mean to be any trouble to you. We just came by and were wondering if we could speak. I believe it was the foreman of your workers.
Oh, well, they're all very busy right now. Is there a particular reason you needed to speak to them?
Honestly, we were wondering if we could inquire with them to contract them after they finish your find keep. We have a need of construction work of our own, but we'd rather see if they're available after they've finished working on your magnificent keep.
Oh, well, yes. They're doing a fine job. Certainly must say, Rufus and Burne have expressed that they're quite happy with the progress that they're making. These men seem to be quite diligent in their work. I could recommend their craftsmanship. I haven't seen stone cut so finely outside of a dwarven quarry, if you can believe that. These men do really fine work. And Of course, Rufus and Burne would be interested in hiring only the best. You know, what with the spoils from having slain a green dragon, they can afford to hire the best. But I would recommend perhaps in the evening coming by when the workers are at their camp and talking to them. I honestly don't know what the timetable is. All I know is that our primary responsibility for the next 3 months at least is to watch over the construction site. Myself and my lieutenant, Genshai here, and our men, they will be they'll be watching over, and they'll be helping out the village militia with doing some additional training drills and getting them into more of a fighting force than they have been in the past. Came into this town, and boy, they called it a militia, but I would have a hard time seeing them wrangle a herd of loose goats, much less fighting any goblins or anything. They were rather a sad lot before we started getting them into shape. And his go ahead.
This is the guy talking is that was just now talking. That's no longer the like the foreman. This is actually one of the two people that owns the tower. Is that right?
No, they have identified themselves as the captain and the lieutenant of the guard for the keep. So they're like private guards that the two adventurers have hired to be like basically their personal defenders of their keep. And so the one who has been speaking is Captain Jaren. I'm going to go ahead and put the name into the Discord for you guys. Guards at the tower. Captain Jaren and Lieutenant Genshai. Okay. So they basically informed you that the adventurers apparently got their wealth by killing a green dragon and taking the dragon's hoard, which would explain why they have money.
Yeah, that'll do it. I asked the foreman, may the two gentlemen who own this, are they here? I'd like to hear that story and just actually see two people who've actually slayed a dragon. I've only never even, I've heard about a dragon, but to actually meet somebody who's killed a dragon, I'd love to actually shake their hand.
Well, they're extremely busy. You understand, Lord. Let me make sure that I have the names correct here. Lord Rufus is a fighter of great renown, and he is right now in the middle of a meeting with the village elder, where he is talking about some plans for expanding the village militia and stepping up the drills that we are doing with them. Currently, we drill them 2 days a week in the morning, and Rufus has recommended to the village elder that we step that up to 3 days a week, morning and evening, to make sure that they are in the prime fighting shape that they need to be. Why, we heard the other day that they were looking at having some adventurers help them deal with a bandit problem that was at the old moat house. Of course, Lord Rufus and his most worshipful mage, Burne, are far too busy to deal with something like just bandits. But the village elder didn't seem to think that the militia was even up to doing that on their own. And so that's one reason why Lord Rufus thinks they need some more drills.
Okay, so that explains that.
And as for our other employer, his most worshipful mage, Burne, is in his study and has told us that he is not to be disturbed. He is doing some very painstaking research on a spell that he has been working on for the last few years. And finally, now that they are able to have this tower that they can work out of, while the rest of the keep is being built, he has his laboratory set up and is able to conduct proper research.
Okay, I thank him. Thank you. What should we do? I turn to Devlin. Should we stay in the
So the mage's name is Burne.
Yes. Let me go ahead and put that in adventure.
So Devlin kind of nudges Cyril, right? And says, find out what race Burne. He says that under his breath.
How am I supposed to do that?
Just ask the gardener.
Why do I have to ask him? Is it because I'm an elf and I
Just do it, you dolt.
You ask him. No, you ask him. No, you ask him. No,
Do you want me to ask IX Silver? Do you want me to ask you?
I don't care what you do. I just want to know why I'm the one that has to ask.
IX, the Burne, would he be
just ask what he looks like now. I got it. Devlin steps up and says, so let me ask you, I'm curious. It's been quite some time. What does Burne look like nowadays?
Oh, you knew him. Well, he's I would say he's probably a little gray at the temples, although you're very young. You appear very young to us. Probably if you met him within the last several years, I don't know whether he had his gray yet or not, but we've adventured with him, or been following his adventures, I should say, for these past 15 years and more, since he and Rufus started out on their quest to rid the area around the capital of its dragon problem.
So you say you've traveled with him for quite some time. Did he ever mention his brother? His
No.
much younger brother who stayed back at home or anything like that?
Give me, if you will, I want to look and see if you have. Do you have the? Oh gosh, I'd have to look at where they put it in first edition. Do you have the deception skill? Do you have any ranks in that?
I don't know if they have deception in this.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I got disguise, stealth, and blind shooting.
Okay. So, all right. Deception is a charisma skill. So, if you're going to try to convince them that you have some sort of that you're some sort of long lost relative of Burne, you'll have to make a charisma check with a penalty since you're not trained in deception.
Come on, let's go on.
So I'm gonna say it's a -2 penalty.
All right, I'll go for it.
Okay. Oh, 9. All right. Well, that's less than 13. So they're like, no, he didn't. He didn't mention that he has a brother.
DM, can I tell
You're
if this
not
is a lie?
You can roll. What's the
Normally it's insight, but whoops, my bad. I assumed it would be intelligence. I clicked that by accident.
well, it might be.
It's definitely not a skill I have.
It's actually called. It's a wisdom skill, and it's called detect deception.
Oh, interesting. Oh, that's worse. Although, technically, is it this? Although, I don't have the skill, so it'd be a -2 again.
Yeah. So yeah, you don't notice that, and of course, you haven't known Devlin that long. He's never mentioned Burne before now, but
Although you did ask me to ask what Burne's race is. Can I? Anyway, I'll just keep going with it.
Yeah.
Devlin's one that thinks he does his best work on the fly. You know.
Yeah. He says. No, he's never mentioned a long lost brother. And then the lieutenant says, "But yeah, you see it, don't you?" And he points at Devlin. He says, "You see the hair? It's the same. He's got the same hair." And
I look at Devlin like, well,
the jawline is very reminiscent of Lord Burne, isn't it? And the captain says, Why, yes it is. And he says, do you mean to tell us that you are his most worshipful mage, Burne's younger brother?
Yes, but let's not stand here and quibble about old memories and all this kind of stuff. I simply have to go see my brother and see what he's been up to. I'm sure there would be no problem with the distractions or anything like that at this time. I'll just let him know that I'm out here waiting or inside waiting or whatever the case may be. And we simply must get together and chat and maybe have some dinner, you know. So he starts kind of pushing his way on up to go try to make it up to the top of the tower.
And I intervene and says, I also have and I point at in my pocket, I get like a little jewel, like a relic, But it's really my cross, actually, holding it. And I have a gift that is a surprise for his brother for his birthday.
I think I just want to back away. Kind of, not wanting to be
And I push you
involved
back
in
in the
the
puck.
calamity that will come from that.
And they do, when you all start moving up the stairs, they act like they're going to step back, but then they suddenly both like look at each other and they snap to attention, and they don't do anything threatening, but they do just cross their spears between them and hold up a hand, and they say, "Oh, gentlemen, I'm very, very sorry. You say you haven't met your brother or haven't seen your brother in a long time. He is a very demanding boss, and when he says he is not to be disturbed, it really, really, he really, really means it. There was one person, one member of our guard that, well, sadly we've had to replace him. But once he thought there was an emergency, and he went to inform Mage Burne, and before we knew it, he was at the top of the tower, and he had sent him over the edge. And of course, before the poor man could hit the ground, Mage Burne did put his Featherfall spell on him, and but it scared him so bad he ran away and has never been seen since.
Oh, that must be a strong mage.
Well, good. I'm glad that somebody of your ilk and responsibility is seeing to my brother's good health. If you could just let him know that his brother is in town. We're currently staying in town if he would like to talk to us. But on occasion, we also have a place that we've set up business nearby. Perhaps we could work out some agreement if he has a time to get a message to me that we could meet at some point in time and come to some mutual benefit, as it were. And he will understand what I'm saying, I'm sure.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Yes, yes. Where are you all staying? Where are your accommodations?
Oh, I'm staying far, far from here. I don't. Let it be known I don't know any of these people.
I generally stay up at the tavern, and I also have a place
at the Welcome
out
Wench.
Yes.
Yeah, and at the marsh, this old dilapidated structure, we've ran out the banditry, and we're looking for.
You were the ones that they got to take care of that. Well,
would you expect anything less of Burne's brother? I mean, they were no problem for us, of course.
And the lieutenant looks at the captain and says, "See, I told you. Same bravado, same self-importance. This has got to be his brother. Yeah, we'll wait until he comes out. I'm not gonna get thrown off the tower for disturbing our Lord. But yes, of course we'll tell him, and we'll tell him you're at the Welcome Wench. And what was your name again, sir?
Well, I go by the name, and of course, with the past history and whatever, I generally go by the name of Clayton Winfield.
Oh, okay. Clayton, we'll tell him that you're here in town.
Okay, looking forward to it. And you said the other gentleman that he's been traveling with lately is at the tavern currently, talking to some people about something or another.
He's at the village hall talking with the town elder. In fact, it was my lord Rufus who paid to have the new village hall constructed. that was part of the offer that they made the village elders for allowing them to build their keep here.
Okay, well, perhaps maybe we'll stop by there. And but it's been good talking to you, sir. It was maybe these gentlemen and the stranger that we just met yesterday down the road. Maybe he has some questions for you. I'm not sure, but we'll wait for you to conduct your business.
All right. Well, that sounds wonderful. We will, and like I said, when you need to talk to the foreman of the stonemasons, just go by their camp in the evening after they have finished work, and he should be able to give you more information on their progress. Or perhaps when you talk with your brother, he can tell you how the work is progressing. Very well. It's a pleasure to meet you all. Have a wonderful day.
Sure.
Adieu.
And they just smile pleasantly at you as you walk away. Where are you guys gonna head now? Are you gonna go back to the tavern or somewhere else you want to go?
Elsie, you got any ideas? I mean, I know that we were going to come here, and then I thought that maybe it is other than maybe recruiting some help, but now it seems like the town council is a possibility as well. I mean, we haven't really found anything out by coming here, so maybe there's something missing, but maybe that's something that we keep in the back of our mind for after we get back. I'm not sure. What do you think?
I think personally, I'm just gonna go back to tavern. Hopefully, stay out of the blast radius when the all-powerful wizard comes and finds you. You can come and find me in a day. If
Well,
you're still alive.
the thing is, if he is the wise person that I think he is, he's going to be able to understand when an opportunity presents itself, and he may come and speak to me, and in a knowing, an understanding way, and he's going to know that he don't have a brother, so he knows I'm lying, and he knows that I know he knows I'm lying, as it were. So if he comes to talk to me, then we should be on level ground, and maybe he'll want to know what I'm all about, and that's what the whole reason was to leave that message. They're much more likely to leave him the message that we were here, and to get his curiosity up, and him to come seeking us when he finds out he has a long lost brother or something, which he knows he doesn't. So that's what I was thinking there.
Well, that's certainly an optimistic view of what you just did.
You got to be optimistic. I'm always the optimist, and then have a plan for when that fails miserably.
I mean, me personally, I don't really need anything from either of these lords. I'd rather just leave them alone.
Well, they're new in town here and building this big fortress. It would be terrible if they turned out to be not on the wrong side of the law, as it were, because I'm quite often on the wrong side of the law myself. But that maybe they aren't in town for our best interest. So I'm just more or less trying to find out about them. And also, they may be of assistance to us. We don't know until we know what they're about. So it's always worth finding out,
I mean, I think we're beneath their attention in either case. It's not like we could stop them if they were evil, and it's not like it sounds like they're pretty unwilling to help unless it's something big. I don't know, you're free to do as you will, friend, but I'd rather just stay out of their way.
I understand that. I don't want to be in their way if they're heading somewhere diligently. But yeah, I mean, there's I guess when he does come a calling for me, mine is going to be a face he's not going to soon forget, and and maybe the impression will be good, maybe it will be bad, but I take it as it comes, I suppose. And I try to stay nimble on my feet if necessary.
Well, I'm sure that'll be very important in the near future.
So what do you think? Should we go to the town council to meet his protege, or to go and maybe gather some assistance before we go back to the salt marsh, I think it is?
Well, out of character, just to summarize what the captain was trying to tell you, out of character, the fighter, the retired fighter, Lord Rufus, is talking with the village elder about increasing the drill for the entire militia, because he thinks they don't have enough fighting skill, enough work. So you had been referred the previous night to the village elder if you wanted to recruit some militia members to accompany you to go and deal with the cleaning out the moat house. So you could both of them at the same time if you went over to the village hall now.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I think to do there.
Okay.
So any other business you have in town before we head over there? Oh, and we do have some money, so we can get a cart and horses and things like that if necessary as well.
Yeah. Maybe once you know what the size of your retinue is going to be, you could talk with, or you could go buy some supplies along those lines.
All right, yeah. So I guess you want to go to the elder's house.
Okay. So yes, they will. They will go with you back over to the village elder's house, which is right over here. And you see a fine warhorse with all kinds of well, it doesn't have its full barding on because they're riding around town, but it's got a very fancy saddle blanket on it with a crest that looks to be like some kind of fancy noble crest on the saddle blanket, and it is tied up outside the village elder's house. And as you walk in, there's a gate on the side that leads to a little yard, and there's a little shaded gazebo there, and you see a man that you recognize from yesterday morning as the village elder, and you see a woman who looks like a no, the woman is not there because the caravan left today. We're on that day. Never mind. And you see a gentleman who looks like he goes with that fancy warhorse. He's got military style jacket on. He's got a plumed hat that's sitting on the table next to him.
Sorry about that, guys.
No, that's all right. and he's got a very fancy looking, very shiny looking. You'd bet most of the gold in your pocket it's probably metal or probably magical sword that is at his hip. And he's got these very shiny black boots that come up all the way almost to his knees. And he's sitting across the table from the village elder, kind of has his arms crossed a little bit and seems to be in contemplation. And as you walk up, the village elder is telling him something about some of the issues they've had trying to keep the militia outfitted. And then he turns and he sees you and he says, "Oh, gentlemen, please, come. I would like you to meet Lord Rufus. He is one of our very eminent citizens in the town, and we were just discussing some plans that he has for improving our militia. I know that you had a chance to work with them yesterday, so perhaps you could give him a bit of a report on how they performed." And with that, I see that we are at 3:00. So why don't we call it there, and we will pick up next time with you all beginning to have your conversation with Lord Rufus about the militia and what sort of help they need to get into the kind of shape that he wants. You guys can probably also then work in your request to have some militia come and help you, and we'll see how the two of them feel about that.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
And, yep. And what you call that? It was really great. Thanks for letting me into the group, guys.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Tony, for joining us. It'll be nice to have another regular participant, and then hopefully we will at some point see some of our other folks that have signed up for the game.
And what you called? You put the synopsis up like at the end of it's like the story sessions. Is that
yeah, I usually try to put it up by Monday or Tuesday. It'll go up on the Discord. In the Discord, it is in the what is it called? Session notes channel.
Okay. All right.
So
yeah.
you can look in there and see the notes from the previous sessions as well.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for coming.
Yep. I'll see you guys all next Saturday at 12, right?
Yeah.
Yes, next Saturday at 12. Though, one thing I want to double check with everyone. Does anybody know what their Thanksgiving weekend plans are yet? In terms,
I'll be home. I'm going to Jersey for Thanksgiving, but I'll be home weekend. It's because I work as a caretaker, so I'm going to be off that day. But I'm usually home on Saturday, Sunday. If I go out, it's usually in the afternoon or shopping or so. But it's fine for me. It's up to you guys. Whatever you.
Okay.
I'm flexible.
I only know that on Thanksgiving I'm going to be at the Lions game.
Oh, cool.
And then the rest of the week I'm just going to be doing my same.
Okay. Elsie, do you know if you're going to be traveling or having to be hosting family over Thanksgiving?
Should be good. Thursday's Thanksgiving, so that should be. Yeah.
Okay.
That'll be fine.
Okay. Well, just want to be sensitive to people's holiday plans, and then we'll as we get closer to the end of the year, we'll also verify what's going on around the weekends around Christmas and New Year's and everything as well. Because if we have 2 or 3 people that are going to be doing stuff, then it doesn't make sense to have a session. We can just skip a week.
You doing Monsters Monday this week?
Yes, I'm doing Monster Monday this week, 8 o'clock on Monday night, and I'll be looking at the Bone Claw, which is a type of undead from 5th edition, and looking a little bit back at its history and where it came from and some of the ways that you might use it in a campaign and how you can reskin it.
Can I ask a quickie to you guys? You all guys kind of new to Roll20 because I just found it and it's like way cool to actually get into a game. I mean, I got lucky to get to you guys. And I can see you guys play and stuff like that. But it's actually like such a godsend, really. I heard about it, but it's actually really cool how you can actually just structure the whole game list. I mean, it's almost like going to the hobby store, just actually having a nice. Yeah.
Roll20, you talking about?
Yeah, Roll20, yeah.
I had a gentleman I was talking to yesterday. Remember I was telling you I was talking to a guy that played on Roll20?
Yeah.
That I knew, and I didn't realize he played D&D as well on Roll20. I told him I came up with I have, like, in my free time, I come up with, like, little, not necessarily backstories, but side story quests that go along with the campaign for, like, specific things happening to certain characters and things. Just to make for good role play. And I kind of like write them down and put them in a little folder of mine. And I was telling him about my recent one, and he's like, you ought to put that on the DM's Guild or something like that.
Yes.
You've heard of it?
Yes.
And he's like, you can make some money off of that. I was like, really? I'd never heard of it. So,
yeah, there's DM's Guild. It's actually dmsguild.com. It's a website that Wizards of the Coast launched several years ago. They did it for several purposes. One is they now have a complete catalog of all of the old published material, all the way back from this original edition of D&D all the way up through second, AD&D, second edition, third edition, fourth edition, and so on, that you can buy all of those in PDF version. So you can get legal copies of all of the modules and adventures and have all the maps and all the other stuff that goes along with it. The other thing that they did it for is because there's so many people that create homebrew content, they wanted to have a way that there's an official marketplace for people to put their homebrew stuff out there for other people to use, and also have it be licensed in a way under Wizards of the Coast. So if you sell it on their marketplace, yes, you can make some money on it. Of course, Wizards is also going to take a little cut of anything that's sold or purchased on that site.
I was basically giving it away to DMs that I thought were pretty good and would maybe use it or something in a campaign.
Yeah.
And keeping the stuff for myself to use in the campaign that I DM.
Yeah.
I don't think that I would expect to get rich off of it or anything like that.
Oh, no. And the vast majority of stuff that people put out there is probably not going to sell a whole lot of copies. And, they have different ways that you can either tell people that there's a suggested price for it, or you can put it out there and have it be out there for free. I know there's several people that have built up a little sideline by they'll put several things out there for free, and they find something that people like that's popular. So then they'll start to create more of those popular ones, but then they'll gradually start adding a price point to those. So people say, oh, well, I already know I like this guy's stuff. Now, if he's got something that I can buy, I'll go ahead and buy something from him. But
yeah, I always found that, like, if you start looking at a lot of other people's stuff, or if you start trying to make things cater to what people are buying and things, I don't know. It's like you lose your edge or your perspective or whatever. I don't know. I've had something like that before, and I lose a little bit of my creativity because I'm thinking about
Like, what do they want to see, like, rather than what you really want to do?
yeah.
And like writing a story, like if I'm writing a story, like,
Or is it good enough? Is it too long? Is it not big enough? Do I need more of this, more of that, more artwork, or just I mean, not just make it to have fun making it, and I think it's pretty good myself. And if they don't like it, then that's fine.
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds cool. Yeah. Hey, Gally, I know this is down the road, and is it just would you ever run like classic modules? Do you have any interest in that? I mean, I'm just saying, just putting it out, like say like any of the old classics, or you rather? I mean, this is cool like this. I'm just saying, do you have any passion to do that too?
Well, what I like doing is I like mining the classic modules for the maps and the themes. But then I have my, I like to put it in a unique game world. Part of the reason to do that is if you have people that have played through these modules before, it's like, oh, I know what's coming up, and or I know the kind of monsters, it's like, okay, well, maybe it's not going to be because it's a different storyline here. But if I don't consider myself a very good artist, so if I buy the modules and I use the maps out of those modules, then I don't have to spend all the time to try to create the layouts and create the maps and do all that kind of stuff. I can just leverage what somebody else has done and then take the contents and rearrange it. Because I'll even take stuff that's supposed to be for high-level characters and repurpose it for low-level characters. And, of course, you just gut all the monsters and tone down the traps and things like that so that it's not an absolute death sentence for a low-level party going in there, but you still get the same sense of the grandeur and the scale and everything like that.
Yeah, it's way cool, man. I can't wait for you guys.
All right, wonderful.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess I'll see you guys next Saturday.
Yeah. I should be here. Same Twitch time, same Twitch channel.
Yes, Pat. Yes, Pat. All right. Take care, guys. I'll see you. I'll probably see you Monday. Yeah. Take care. Go Lions. Hopefully you win this week.
No doubt.
You got robbed against the Packers. That was horrible.
Yeah, we did big time.
Oh, my God. I couldn't believe what I was watching when I saw that. I was like, what?
I think the refs get together and they agree what games.
I think it's almost like they got to have the Packers.
They're going to bet against the Lions, and then they just decide you're